Hello and welcome to PiscesMoon Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Kate Leonard, and I'm excited to explore the stars with you. Hi everyone, welcome to the week of January 19th through January 25th. Let's talk about it. Okay, so on January 19th, the sun drives his fiery chariot into air sign Aquarius and does what? Immediately conjoins with Pluto, god of the underworld. Now, doesn't that just sound like fun? Just imagine two heavyweight fighters, the sun and Pluto. Two heavyweights in the middle of the ring. I don't know if you've ever watched boxing. I used to watch it all the time. You know that place where they are leaning into each other? They're basically slow dancing, but with really hardcore grimaces on their faces. And they're doing these punches that are like little rabbit punches, but probably feel like a tank hitting you if you're on the receiving end. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the image that comes to my mind first. Before I get into the big event here, I also want to let you know some of the other things that are going on this week. And again, this is not everything that's happening in the sky by any stretch of the imagination, but some of the things that were catching my eye. Mercury's going to sextile Venus, and that's going to bring in new ideas, maybe about love, about relationships, but also could be new inspiration for art projects, money-making kinds of ideas, ways to make money. In addition, we've got retrograding Mars, sextiling retrograding Uranus. Again, I want to say kind of what could go wrong here besides just about almost anything, but whatever you expect, it won't be that thing because Uranus is involved, right? So unexpected emotions and maybe some very angry outbursts. You're probably not going to be able to do it, but count to 10, count to 10. Mercury's going to oppose Mars. So that could be some angry thoughts, like we've already had the Mars-Uranus kind of thing going on. And afterwards, Mercury opposing Mars, it'd be like, I'm going to think really mean things in your direction. Yeah, that's going to be sort of weird. Mercury is all kinds of communications. So again, the possibility of moody outburst, angry outbursts, those kind of things. Yeah, I'm thinking temper tantrums this week. Yes, I do believe so. And eventually, Venus will trine Mars. Mars is retrograding. Look for those old lovers to show up. I'm just saying. Okay, now let's get into the biggies. This Sun-Pluto conjunction in Aquarius. I also wanted to add to that the sun is going, well, the sun and Pluto technically, right, is going to be making harmonious aspects to the lunar nodes. So whatever is going on with the Sun-Pluto thing, we're going to talk about what that means in just a second. Just know that it's going to be big and deep. It's going to be fated, right? The nodes mark our path of destiny. They bring about destined, fated, karmic change, all right? So the stuff going on with the sun and Pluto, it is not just them. It is something bigger than us, bigger than this moment. We're going to look back and go, oh yeah, that was a week when some stuff really happened in a deeply meaningful way. You know, those kind of weeks when stuff happens and you're kind of never the same after. It's that kind of thing. So it's a big, big deal. I also want to make clear, I don't really do what's called mundane astrology. That means like the astrology of politics and the world and all of that kind of thing. I toss it in a little here and there. I do it, but it's not my main gig. So I'm not going to go big time into this. But I do want to say that in Aquarius is an interesting sign. It is very aloof. Everybody always talks about it being all about the people. That is true. The people, theoretically, the people in the sense of society, okay? So Aquarius is very much about, like when we talk about Pluto and rulership and Aquarius, we are talking about a situation that's going to affect, quote, the people, society, right? The group. We're not talking about me and you as individuals. Aquarius is aloof. It is not, it's air, it's mind, right? It's not at all touchy-feely. So when this happens, I think what we're going to be seeing is some major power plays on the world stage. So sadly, I am looking at power plays. That's exactly what I'm looking at. So the kind of stuff that we're seeing going on in the United States and really, in the various wars and other upheavals going on, I think there's going to be more of it. And this week could get really complicated where key players are coming in and trying to grab power. Pluto, possibly in underhanded, he's the god of the underworld, underhanded kind of ways. It's a weird week. And that's all I'm going to say about that level of this. Okay. So just remember that Aquarius we're talking on the personal level now. Aquarius is fixed air. Air is intellect. It's technology. It's, all of that kind of thing, but very, very much intellect. And fixed means stubborn in a sense, right? Unmoving. And so expect that there could be clashes this week. Just looking at it, just looking at Aquarius, right? And big energy in Aquarius, we could have clashes just because people have their minds made up. It's going to be this way. I'm sure this is the right way. And damn it, that's it for me. I am not changing my mind. Okay. So there could be a lot going on with that sort of fixed mindset, right? People unwilling to think outside of their own framework. So just kind of be aware that that's a thing. And, when I say people, we are people, right? I'm not talking about just those guys who are doing mean things to us. We're doing it too, right? So yes, when people are maybe behaving in a way that seems frustrating or is even making you pretty darn angry, and you think it's because they're being like stubborn or bullheaded or something like that, do step back and examine your own thinking. We're part of the people, and we may be coming off that way as well, right? So it's good to look in both directions and see kind of where can we find some give here? Where can we open up our thinking or open up this conversation and maybe, let go of some of that rigidity? The sun. What is our sun? It's our ego. It's our soul's expression out in the world. It's how we shine. Okay. So it's really our outer, look at me, here I am kind of self. All right. It's not our deepest, darkest secrets. It is how we shine, how we make our name or something, right, in the world. It's that public expression of our soul. Very, very important and very, very authentic. So when I say not deep, I just mean not in that lunar way where it can be really internal, really emotional, all of that. The sun is out there. The sun is to be seen. Okay. So we've got the sun coming in here. And remember, the sun is big. It's like we revolve around the sun, right? All the planets are going around the sun. This is the life force in our universe. So when the sun is involved, we are talking like the heavyweight champion, right? So back to my not wrestling. I never did watch wrestling. My boxing analogy. This is the heavyweight. Very, very important issues come up around the sun, but it's gonna be issues that have to do with how we are seen and how we see. And I want to clarify a thing about Aquarius. Our sun is our ego self, right? How I am seen in the world. And Aquarius is about the people, right? Society. And so this is an uncomfortable relationship. The sun, it doesn't love being in Aquarius because they don't have the same like worldview. Does that make sense? So this is really going to be our ego self against something outside of ourselves and possibly even groups, right? It could even come down to that. Unless you're an Aquarius rising person. So look to see if Aquarius is your first house, the power struggle could be internal, right? Me uh, arguing with me in some way, or me combating two like competing sides of myself. Otherwise, sun is outward. Expect this to have some us against them quality to it. All right. Pluto is an interesting guy. Yeah, he is. He is the god of the underworld. He is that one who, did what he did to Persephone, and because I know it's triggering for some people, I won't go into that, but I think we all know the Persephone myth, right? He's very much about power, and he really is not a very moral kind of guy. He's gonna go for what he wants, he's gonna fight for it, he's gonna take it, right? That's what Pluto's all about. But the other side of the whole myth of Persephone is she comes out from the underworld and brings spring to the world, right? So there's also this sense when we're dealing with Pluto that something very deeply buried comes up into the light and is transformed. This can be things like deeply held trauma. I've seen a lot of that when there are heavy Pluto aspects going on. Deeply buried trauma, closely held secrets. So if you've been holding on to something for a really long time, look to see where Aquarius is in your natal chart. What house? Is it in your 10th house of work? What don't you want your boss to know? Because that's a Sun Pluto conflict in Aquarius, 10th house. That would be like me and the boss, right? And some secret comes to light and the power throwdown happens. All right. If it's in the 7th house, that's primary relationships. That's the spouse, the lover, the partner. 4th house, our family of origin. 11th house, friends. 5th house, children. Okay. You get it. Look to see where this is falling in your chart, and it will give you a really good idea of who you're going to be duking it out with this week. Okay. So, as I've already said, I'm seeing two main things, right? Bringing something into the light that needs to be brought into the light and transformed. And I'm seeing power struggles. The sun is mighty, and so is Pluto, and that's going to be power struggles. Pluto is almost always about some kind of power grab. But even in that power struggle dynamic, I believe it's going to bring deep personal transformation and or an important transformation to the relationship involved. Okay, so it might be heck in a handbasket getting to this transformation, right? You have this horrible battle with your best friend, this horrible power struggle of some kind with, somebody who's dear to you. Either that relationship will end and you will look back on it and be glad. You'll look back and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I let that go on so long. Or the relationship will be transformed in such a way that it comes out better. Remember, Persephone comes out and the world of winter is transformed into spring, right? The transformation does bring about positive, it's a positive transformation. In other words, don't know why that was so hard for me. It just isn't an easy one. Okay. So while you're going through whatever it is this week, just know that on the other end of it, it is going to be very, very worth it. Then, on top of all of that, we've got the sun making positive aspects to the lunar nodes. Okay, now this takes some clarification. If you listened to the podcast last week where I talk about the lunar nodes, you know there are two different ways to calculate them: the true lunar node and the mean lunar node. This is because there's some bounce or jiggle in their positions, and different astrologers, both of those are used. They're both respectable, accepted ways of doing it. In practice, I use the mean lunar nodes, and that's what I'm talking about today. Last week, in my episode last week, that was redundant, yes, I was talking about the true lunar nodes changing signs. Okay. So I'm sorry if that's confusing. We're going now to the mean lunar nodes. That's what's going to be sextiling and trining. So making positive aspects to the sun. They will be North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra. Okay, so that's what we're talking about right now. Don't get confused if you're like, how are those positive aspects if it's already changed? No, I hope that's not too confusing. If it is, go back and listen to last week if you didn't already do that. But otherwise, just trust me and ignore this whole thing, this little bit here, not the whole thing, but this little bit here. And what that means is destiny is involved. This is another reason I'm telling you that what happens this week, even if it feels really, like poop, um, it's going to be right. It's going to be good in the sense that it's right. The lunar nodes bring fated change, right? They're all about pushing us along. That's probably not the right terminology, but kind of, right? If you've ever lived through a really hardcore eclipse, they kind of push you along, right? So they're kind of about inviting us down the path of our destiny. They're trying to align us with our soul's purpose here in this lifetime. Whether you believe we only live one lifetime or many, many, whichever, in this lifetime, the nodes are about us can't say it, fulfilling our destinies while we're here, okay? So them making this positive aspect to the sun while the sun is moving into conjunction with Pluto, this is saying that these things are going to be like deep. Pluto already says deep, right? He's already the underworld, right? So that's already like a whole lot. And with the nodes involved, though, it means not only is it going to be deep in the moment, because you know how sometimes it's like you're going through an event and like it's deep while you're going through it. But 20 years later, sometimes you don't even remember that it happened, right? This is not that thing. This is the thing that it's deep while you're going through it and maybe difficult. Pluto's not a friendly guy, so maybe difficult, but it's going to be deep beyond. We're going to be looking back on this week, on these events, and it's going to be one of those turning point kind of times. So just know that whatever you're going through, it's worth going through it. Show up as your best. Keep reminding yourself this is a big week. It may be really challenging. I'm bringing my best game to this, right? I'm going to go back to the boxing metaphor. They say about boxers, like truly, truly great boxers, that they have heart, that they have a boxer's heart. And what that means is they go into that ring and they face this battle like a noble warrior who's going to bring his best. That's the way we have to face this week, because when the nodes are involved, it's that kind of big. So we need to go in with the boxer's heart, with the spirit of the noble warrior. We have to bring our best selves and our best game, and we have to face what comes up and know that it's for the best and that the transformations coming are profound and right and fated. Isn't that all like intense, right? I'm saying all of that as literally fires are raging around me. I am not in danger, and I can't even tell you how grateful I am to the universe for that. But I am very, very aware of how big and significant things can be and how hard things can be, because even though I'm not going through it, I am watching friends and just people in my community, in my town, be devastated. And I will tell you, even from a safe distance, and I'm very privileged, I'm very lucky, but I am just saying that even this close to it, I am really aware of how really important a moment in time can be. And I think that, again, not comparing what we're going to go through this week to the fires, but I do think that we're going to go through things that are challenging and things that are really, really profoundly important to us in the long run. So let's all get into the spirit of the noble warrior and get ready to go into the ring with heart. And so, with all of that, until next week, go out and seize the energies of the stars. This truly is my wish for you always, and I'll see you all on the other end of this. Bye.